Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Having a few technical issues this evening, but they've been resolved. Now, if you're on YouTube and you're watching on the live stream, unfortunately, I can't answer your questions because I can't see the chat, but you're more than welcome to register for the webinar. I've given you the link in the chat there. For everybody else that has registered and are in the webinar, welcome everybody. So let's get going. So welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. If you do have any questions as we're going through the webinar, then feel free to type them into the Q&A box. Just read through the risk disclaimer before we move along. So tonight's webinar will be a live market analysis. I'm going to go through the key trading levels for a number of pairs. And I will give you just a quick update to what webinar's coming up tomorrow before we move into that. All right, so moving along, if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader, been trading for more than 15 years and educating clients for more than 10. If you need to contact me, you can get me at the email address on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. If you want to connect with me, then you can get me in various ways on the website. You can connect with my analysis at acy.com market news tab. YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and my Twitter and LinkedIn handles are there on screen if you want to jot those down. And moving along, something new that we're doing at the moment, we've just introduced is a Telegram service where myself and a few colleagues are delivering some market analysis through the trading day based around the webinar series that we deliver. Showing you the trend, support and resistance, and the key trading levels that we're looking at potentially to trade around during the trading day. If you'd like to get access to that, just email Nathan Bray at acy.com. His email is on the screen there. I'll give it to you in the chat in a moment as well. And then just to give you an update of what is coming up for the rest of the week in the webinar series tomorrow evening, I'm going to be taking you through trade setups, limit order at a support or resistance zone. So if you want to come along and watch that, just head over to our website, acy.com, go to the webinar page and just register. I'll probably show you that page a little bit later. All right, so let's get to the charts. And you will notice that my charts are a little bit different to the ones that you can download from the website. And if you want to get access to my indicators and tools, then I'm going to give you Nathan's details. If you contact Nathan, he'll let you have access to those. So let me put that in the chat for you. So I'm going to give you Nathan's details. So if you want to get access to our Telegram service or access to my indicators, he'll sort you out. There we go, that's in the chat. And just to show you the Telegram service before we get into the charts, here it is. There's a post here that I posted earlier in the day about the Aussie dollar. I was talking about a resistance level that I'll talk about tonight. At the 79% retracement level here at 72.39 of last month's range, I was looking for, is price going to fail in this area over the next 24 hours? If it does, then that reversal would get confirmed breaking below 7,200. Now, price hasn't moved below 7,200, not yet anyway, and it's actually been heading up since I posted that, but that just gives you a look and feel of what we're posting. I'm doing some analysis, key levels I'm watching, looking at trend, support and resistance for the trading day. So if you'd like to get access to that, just contact Nathan. I'll put his details in the chat for you there. All right, let's get into tonight's analysis. And I'm just going to move from left to right. What I might just do, obviously we've got the Ukraine news coming out through the course of the week. You know, what's happening with Russia? Are we going to war in that region? So with that in mind, obviously, we want to keep our attention on the dollar index. What is that doing? This is a monthly chart. So I'll just take you through the dollar index and the S&P 500, just so we've got an idea about what they're doing and how they could be affecting the currency market. This is a monthly look at the dollar index, and I've got an old level of resistance here at 95.95, which we're just holding on or above. monthly trend here is clearly up. And the weekly chart, we've moved up to a higher top, possibly putting in a higher bottom here. Time will tell if we can come up and challenge these recent tops that we formed. All right. On the day chart, MACD is crossed up, and what I'm noticing is we've had a minor double bottom here, slightly higher bottom to a top, and then we're putting in a bit of a base here, and we're kind of stuck between support and resistance. So range bound, just maybe hanging on to monthly support at 95.95. Sometimes it's a bit below, sometimes it's a bit above. So it's not really telling you that there's a definite direction, definite trend there. It's more consolidatory. Price is generally just reacting to what the news is doing. One day up, one day down, just bobbing and weaving above that area at the moment. So it'd be nice to get a clear direction one way or the other. So 95.95, it's almost the 96 level. That's where price action is kind of holding to at the moment. Not a clear direction on the dollar index. S&P 500 has had this first impulsive move down. We've had a approximate 62% rally, which created a minor double top here at this area of 45.79 resistance, and we've moved down yesterday to test. This is actually monthly support. If you go to a monthly chart, that's monthly support at 42.68. So we've actually broken that level once, obviously rejected, and we traded below it yesterday. There's a bit of a rejection there at the moment. How long does that reject up? The most immediate level of resistance now for the S&P 500 is at 43.58. So if you move back above there, then we might be moving back up the range. Just get that number again. It's at 43.58. All right. So that's a level to watch. You're just monitoring the dollar index and the S&P 500 for a general idea about what is happening. If we can hold below 43.58 and turn around, if we see obviously price move back below here, that's probably going to be negative for the market. Moving above here is going to be positive for the market. And pairs like the Aussie dollar, they're positive today, and they're probably positive on the fact that the stock market's a bit positive. So watch 43.58. If we hold at that level and move back down for a retest of 42.68, that's going to be negative. So bear those two things in mind as we get into the currency pairs. So I'm going to start from left to right, the ones I want to go through. Aussie yen, first of all, having a positive day, and we're moving up. So what I want to really talk about, I'm just going to clear a few lines off. So I can just move up to a higher level. I can put these back in a minute. All right, so I just want to look at the monthly chart. And good, we do have a higher top, higher bottom, but we're very range bound at the moment. And MACD's crossed down. So I'm not entirely sure whether we're getting a change in trend here, but last month we held at these monthly resistance areas to the left. And I'll refine that level in a moment on the weekly chart. But this level at 83.97, monthly resistance. We've been above, back below, above, back below, and kind of down at that level this month. We're a little bit underneath it at the moment. So just bear in mind that we had a very negative month last month, and we're trading back up inside that candle. Doesn't mean to say we're going to take out the high of that candle this month. We're just trading back up inside the range. So rather range bound. Weekly chart, we've moved down to a slightly lower bottom here, to a lower top, to a higher bottom. So it's really mixed. And as I said, last month's range is really from that high to that low, and we're traveling back up within that range. And we're actually traveling back up within that rejection weekly candle here. So can we take that candle out, or are we just rallying at the moment to the highest point of the month where all the sellers are, where they might take control to move back down the range? That's what I'm thinking might occur. I don't know yet. To the day chart, I'm just going to put back in my levels. Obviously, on this day chart now, breaking above that level of 83.35. The next clear level to really consider there's a minor level here, 83.73, but the big level to consider is this high of the month, intra-month, 83.97 at monthly resistance. Okay, so that's the way we're heading towards. Just going to put my other lines back in that I've been working with. All right. Actually, might get rid of a line or two. More focal lines that the market's been operating around. There's a weekly top here. We came down to 82.01. That's that weekly top line level. Rejected it. This week, we got a fraction short of it. So we're getting support just above 82. We've managed to break above 83.33 today. And I'm sure we're heading towards 83.97 in the short term. All right. So if you wanted to be a buyer, really you should have been buying around about the 82 level, just above, earlier in the week. Buying now, I don't think you've got a lot of room to get up to resistance, and you're going to start to meet sellers. So, you know, looking for a trade setup myself, I'm just watching to see what price does up here at resistance. Key level to watch is 83.97. Another level, I had a fib drawn across this range. Beg your pardon, I had a fib drawn across the monthly range there before I came on board and tidied my charts up. All right, so that fib that I've drawn in is from last month's high to last month's low, and we're trading back up inside that range. And we're popped above 83.45. So I'm actually watching 83.45 for failure. We're at 83.62. I might have said 84.33 or something, or 83. Just get my numbers right. The 79% level is at 83.45. And I'm just asking myself, will we hold above that level through the trading day? If we fail back below that, I'm going to look at that as negative. And the other level I'm watching at the moment is 83.97. So what does price do around those two levels? On the 4-hour chart then, we can clearly see we're in an uptrend here. So over the next 24 hours or so, I'm possibly expecting price will get up to 83.97 if the momentum continues. Then what does price do there? I'm watching that level for failure. Tomorrow morning, I'll be looking to see, are we maintaining price action above 83.45? If it is, that's positive for a further move up. And, you know, we could pull back over the next 24 hours like so. This area here, 83.33 could become support for the market for, you know, the final challenge to move up that way. All right. So if you want to be a buyer, look at 83.33 to become support for the market. Price action moving back below that level is negative. The sellers are in control. So then if we move back below that key area of resistance or support, if we move back below that level, then really my mode of operation would be to move below, look at that level to become resistance, and on a lower time frame, look for an opportunity to sell down from 83.33. All right. At the moment, the buyers definitely have the hand, but there's not that much room. There's only 37 pips approximately to go before we get to major resistance. So can't really conjure up a good risk to reward trade, I don't think, in that area. And be aware that we're heading up to the highs of last month. That's where you're going to find the sellers. All right. So that's what I'm watching there. Obviously positive for the week at the moment. Aussie dollar is very similar. So we just draw a line in from high to low here. That's the range of last month. And the monthly high time frame chart trend is down. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop to the weekly just to show you here. Structurally on the weekly chart, the trend is still down. I know we're having 4 positive weeks up now, pretty much a month up. But we have moving down to a lower bottom, a lower top, fractional lower bottom. Yes, this could be major support holding for the long term. Time will tell. We won't know that unless we break above this weekly top here, 73.14. So until structurally we don't take that out, we could be coming into the area where the sellers are. To the daily chart. So structurally on the day chart, we've got higher tops and bottoms. That's going against the high time frame trend though. So my concern is if you want to be trading to the upside, you should have been in by now. Should have been in down in this area here, or earlier in the week when 71.70, which is this weekly low over here, it's been acting as support and resistance. Support at the moment. That's where the buyers came in the week at 71.70, getting support. Trade up. Today is pushing above daily resistance at 72.49. But we're really getting into the high levels of last month. Got some more tops coming up here at 72.76 area. So there's not much room now. There's only about 40, 50 pips to go before the high. Of course, we can get up and challenge the high. And if you bought down at 71.70 area, you'll be having a nice profitable trade. But there's limited profit available now to trade up to major resistance on the pair. So whilst I'm not in a trade at the moment, I'm not looking to buy because I'm into the area of the sellers. I would like to see by the end of the day, if the sellers are going to take control, that they start to fail at 72.49. And draw a fib across that monthly range as well, that weekly range on the weekly chart too. And if I move this to a 4-hour chart, 79% levels at 72.39. I was actually looking earlier in the day for a failure around about that level. The previous 4-hour candle was starting to reject, but then in London we popped up. So I'm just monitoring over the next 24 hours. We could obviously be moving up. If you're clearly a buyer with the current intra-week move, any pullback to 72.49, that should hold as support. In that area, you could look to buy to trade up for a test of that weekly high up there. If the sellers are going to take control, then you should be looking for price action to start to falter during the trading day, wanting to move back below 72.49, this top, day top, and, you know, wanting to start to move back below 72.39, the 79% fib level. So for me, I'm not a buyer because we're too high up now, but I will be watching this zone to see if we can start to head back below it. And then what does price action do after that? I'd like to see, you know, a good rejection down, a retest of that area and failure to move down if I'm going to be a seller. All right. If I was going to be a buyer down here where we're getting support for 3 candles, 71.70, we came back down and rejected. That was the area to buy earlier in the week. Could still be an area to buy later in the week if we move back down to that level before the end of the week, or watch that level next week. 71.70 will probably offer support if we move back down to that level. All right, so probably a bit late to be a buyer, but you need to judge that yourself. But be aware of 73.14, that's key resistance. We could come up here and create a double top. Just because we trade through there a few pips, if that's what it does, doesn't really change the trend for me, because that's critical resistance. It's the last month's high. We could hold there and trade all the way back down the range if price wants to do that. So up at 73.14, I will be watching for a failure. I'm just monitoring to see if we get a failure at the moment at 72.49 area. It's looking unlikely at the moment, but nothing shocks me in the Forex market. If some news comes out today from the Ukraine area and it's very negative, we'll probably be below 72.49.50 area there. And then does that become new resistance for the market? So monitor those levels. Euro yen. If you go to the monthly chart, first of all, like a number of the yen crosses, like the Aussie, I was showing you, is rather range bound. This is structurally just in a downtrend, lower top to a bottom. And it's rather range bound. And we came back up and challenged almost the monthly top high there at 133.12. We almost got there to the pip, I think. It's 133.47 was that monthly top there. We'll see it clear on the weekly chart. So that monthly top up there is at 133.47. I've got 133.12 drawn in from a monthly top to the left. This is why it's important to have these key areas drawn in, because I've been using that monthly level of resistance for quite a while. And we screamed up this month and we actually traded at that level and heavily rejected. So what we're seeing is on the monthly chart, we've just got a monthly downtrend, rather range bound. The weekly has been forming now a higher bottom to a higher top, hit resistance on the monthly chart, and we pull back. The question now is this forming another higher bottom to move up and through, or is that the failure point and we're moving back down to these levels of weekly support further down? So just going to drop down to the day chart. My weekly level of support are 128.24, 127.92, and this lower level is monthly support. So the question is, obviously, we've moved down. We're zigzagging up, down, up. Is this the failure point to move down and challenge these support levels? Or are we putting in an interim bottom here to move back up this way? All I can really say to help you is we've made a bottom to a lower top to a lower bottom. Are we going to put in another lower top at the moment? That's the day chart trend. That is actually in line with the monthly chart trend at the moment. So that's weekly resistance there. I'm just going to put some of my lines back in. This is daily support. And this is daily support here. So we kind of false broke this level of daily support at 130.04. Things were very negative yesterday, but then we popped back up. So we've got a bit of support ahead of 129.23. This is why it's critical to have the levels drawn in. We've moved back above 130.04. Last week, we were clearly held at weekly resistance 131.59, putting in a lower top. So we might just be moving up at the moment within the fib structure of things. Now, lower top to a lower bottom, down to a 4-hour chart. And then, of course, we could move all the way back up to the weekly resistance level. If we did, that would be a good level to watch for failure, for a move back down. To be a buyer, if it came back down to 130.04 and held, that would be a good level to look for an opportunity to buy, to trade up the range. We've already fallen short of that today, so you may have missed that opportunity. So this might just be at the moment trading up to maybe the 62 level, 79 level. All right, don't forget all that price action up that way, if that occurs, is counter trend to the day chart trend. Personally, I don't really like to go counter. So I'd be watching for a level for failure. We've got a 4-hour top here, 130.90, lines up with a 62% level at 130.92. That could be a definite level to watch for failure intraday. Or the 79% level further up at 130.135. And if we do get deeper, we obviously had a critical failure last week at 131.59. So the sellers will be sitting there for sure. There could be a definite possible failure at that level. So 3 levels to watch. We might never get up to any of those levels. We might start to turn around and then have to reassess things. But for the sellers to get in control, maybe over the next 24 hours, if we don't rally up further and see failures at these levels intraday on a lower time frame, like a 15-minute chart, by the end of the day, if we close below 130.04, that's negative, and then you're looking for, if we can move below 130.04, I'd be looking intraday the next day for that level to be resistance. So on a 15-minute chart, I'd be looking in this area to hold, to trade down for a retest of daily support here. And there's a further, that's daily support. That's weekly support down at 128.24. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for if we start to head down today. Do we close below 130.04? Does that become resistance intraday the next day? Euro dollar, this has been working great to support and resistance. So this is a day chart. I actually did a video analysis. I'm going to move to the weekly at the moment. I did some video analysis this week, asking the question, is this a double top forming here? All right, time will tell if we can trade down the range and break this support low. Obviously, we've actually traded below last year's low. That's negative, and we were very negative last year for the most part. from around about May, when we double topped up here, we were down all the time. So we've got a similar double top here, slightly higher top to that top. There has slightly higher top to that top. And then what happened? Traded down all year. So that happened at 114.82 weekly resistance. Since then, we've created a minor double top within the bigger double top on the weekly. Had this level of support, it's now resistance at 113.86. We've moved below, got fractionally short of daily support, moved back up, resistance. Monday, we came up and rejected that level, traded down again, almost down to that level of support. There's another level here coming into focus at 112.80. I should put that level in. And hopefully what you can see is at left, we had consolidation. And probably here right, we're having consolidation. Very much like what the dollar index looks like at the moment. So for me, because we've got the double top, triple top area here, which is a negative bias, I'm looking for an opportunity to sell down from resistance. It's already occurred on Monday, occurred last week too. So can it occur again? So you can move down to your 4-hour chart. It's been chopping and changing its trend in terms of high tops and bottoms, lower tops and bottoms. But there was a lovely inverted kind of hammer, almost a doji, when we came up earlier in the week. My level to watch at the moment would be this level here. 113.86 all the way up to 114. Do we reject that level once more? If we do, look to trade down to support. All right, that's in a range until it isn't, so just trade it like a range. Of course, if you thought we were going to move down, further down through these weekly levels of support at 112.72, so 112.72 is a daily level of support, but then we've got weekly at 112.21, 111.86, 111.21. If you thought the double top was going to come out and play and move down long term, you could be selling at 113.86, and then you're trying to hold the position to trade down through these levels for can price get down to that major level of weekly support, and can it break it? If it breaks it, it's going to start to confirm the double top. All right, that might take, you know, a couple of weeks or more to do that, depending on what's happening in Ukraine. Of course, if the Ukraine environment becomes more positive, we could be trading up to retesting 114.82, which would once more be a good level to watch to sell. So if we break above 130.86, if everything becomes positive, price breaks above 130.86, look at 113.86 to become new support for the market to trade up off, to trade up to 114.82. All right, those are the levels I'm watching on the euro dollar. Pound yen, not doing much at the moment, but the question is, like a number of pairs, and take a few lines off. I just want to make sure I get the lines off that I want to get off. Monthly. Go to the monthly chart. Like I was showing in the euro yen, Aussie yen, we're actually at a major area of resistance over here, which is 156.59. And we did trade through there, but we couldn't hold above there. Buyers couldn't exist above there. And you can hopefully see we're in a range. We had a negative candle last month, spinning top at that resistance area. And I've actually got 3 monthly resistance tops in that area. So to the weekly, these 3 lines are my monthly levels of resistance: 156.07, 156.59. The final one is at 158.21. And obviously we're range bound to a large degree. Come down to support. Weekly support at 149.00. I've got monthly support at 148.45. Then we've traveled up into that monthly resistance area, came down, came back up. 2 weeks ago, we had a rejection candle. We're still in that area, but you have to ask yourself, do you want to be a buyer in a resistance area? Okay. To be a buyer, it would have been ideal buying down here. Here, we actually came down to a weekly support from that top. So that was a good level to be a buyer at, to trade up and test monthly resistance. Can that break? Right now we're in resistance. It's not an ideal level to be executing buys, because this area is already proved once, twice that the sellers can push it down. All right, don't know whether they can push it down again, but at the moment we're going to move to a daily chart. What is happening is up here, we had a minor double top, false move at that level to create kind of a triple top, and we've been moving down to a bottom, putting in a lower top. We don't have lower tops and bottoms yet, but we have a lower top to the triple top. That's weekly resistance there, 157.76, and those last two levels are daily resistance and support. So what you're going to see is that we are kind of consolidating in an area of resistance, really. It would be perfect. I'll just get rid of that daily support level so we have one less line. We're in an area of resistance at the moment, okay? And the last level of monthly resistance is that top over here. So it would be great if we could move back below that level with some conviction. And it did that last month, so I'll show you. This is where on the 4-hour chart we moved back below 156.07, where it moved down, became resistance, resistance, resistance to move down. So we started forming that price action below 156.07. That's proving to you that the sellers are in control again, and you could move possibly back down to weekly support, 152.84. At the moment where it is, doesn't necessarily entice me, but probably what I'm seeing at the moment from, we've got a higher bottom, lower top. The last move down, we draw a fib from the last move down, move it to a 4-hour. It's holding at the moment at a level of a monthly resistance, that is 156.59, and the 62% level at 156.61. So is it a good level to possibly trade down from? But you are in the area of congestion. So you have to ask yourself, how keen are you to get selling right now? On a 15-minute chart, here at the moment, it's, I like to look for a trend line break. It's not giving me a trend line break at the moment, but what it is doing is it's moving back below that level of the monthly resistance and the 62% level. So if I could get a trend line break, a tight trend line break at the area with limited risk, we may well, have an opportunity to trade down to test. I'll go back to my 4-hour chart. We could trade down from the 62 level, failure, to retest 56.07. That's that monthly level of monthly resistance or support. And if that breaks, you manage to get in at a higher level. But personally, I'd like to get out of the monthly area of resistance, know that that level's holding, and then execute, like what price action did over here last month. So I'm just being patient, waiting for the market to give me what I'd like to see before I execute a trade. But if you're aggressive, you could be looking to execute in this area today, because it is holding there at the moment. All right, but you need to make your own decision about how you trade at these levels. Personally, as I say, I'm waiting for a break below 156.07. Does that then become resistance? Pound dollar, not too dissimilar in terms of structure there, like the euro dollar. These levels that we've got drawn in, daily resistance at 136.27 from this high. I know there's some slightly higher levels there. I'm aware of those levels, but we look at the wicks. None of these candles are closing above 136.27. Then support, day support 134.90. We're just operating between those two levels. If we break above or below any of those levels, we've got weekly resistance at 137.48 to trade up to. Weekly support to trade down to at 133.57. Structurally, if you go to the weekly chart, we've got a lower top, higher bottom. Maybe we're forming a lower top here. So I mentioned this last week. As we're moving down last year, put in a lower top, then a higher bottom, lower top to a lower bottom. So it got a bit mixed last year before we did move all the way down to this low. So very similar at the moment. It's got a bit mixed. We have a lower top. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. A succession of 4 lower tops. I might be making the 5th lower top here. But we do have a higher bottom, so it's just been a little bit mixed. But my bias would be more to the downside, seeing all those lower tops. So day chart, as I said, we're rejecting 136.27, 4-hour chart. Today, you can see on the 4-hour candle, we've just been talking about the pound yen moving down back below that resistance level and the 62% level. The 4-hour candle here is rejecting. It's got a little bit short of 136.27. I'm probably 130, it's been up to 136.20 today. So a little bit short of that level, but intraday, you could have been looking for a failure up there. Drawing a fib across that range, I'm guessing we're failing yes at the 79 level. So what I would be anticipating at the moment, all things being equal, if this is now rejecting for a move down. So it's gone a bit short of the resistance level. We've had a triple top area here at just above 136.27. Today we can't get there. So I'm anticipating that we've moved down. We've rallied. And we're going to put in a leg down this way. All right. So you just need to work out for yourself, how do you get in? What's your trading strategy to get in on a lower time frame? And have a look at the 15-minute chart. Structurally, if you're, I like to use a trend line break, and what I can see is we're getting a trend line break in that area. So things are looking negative. We've actually held at the pivot point, our 1 pivot point and 79% level. Short of daily resistance, I would probably anticipate, I can never say what price is going to do because the market's in control. But if I was looking at what price is doing at the moment, I'd be anticipating that we've maybe put in the high of the day there, and we're moving down to retest yesterday's low with a continuation pattern to the downside. We could well be moving down now. I'm saying putting in a leg down, and depending on how long that leg wants to be, we could be coming down to test daily support at 134.90. All right, so you can monitor those levels. But if we don't move down today, I would still be watching tomorrow a further retest of 136.27 for failure. It's proving it to you. Held here, rejected here last week. Late last week, early into this week, we've created a triple top there. So really it's been a triple top, moved into a downtrend, lower top, lower bottom. This is a rally to put in a lower top for a further move down. Okay, that's how I'm looking at things there. All right, last 2 pairs I want to go through this evening are the New Zealand yen and New Zealand dollar. We might go the New Zealand dollar first. Structurally, day chart trend here is up. It's very easy to go, okay, I should be looking now for a long-term move upwards. It's very positive today in terms of an interest rate hike. Over the last 2 interest rate hikes that we've had, the price has been positive for a little bit, and then price action has actually sold off. Today, it is actually going up. But if we look at things structurally, to the weekly chart, structurally on the weekly chart, we're in a downtrend. So this move up over the last 4 weeks, similar to the Aussie dollar, we're just in rally mode to the higher time frame downtrends. All right, so until we can break above 68.90, clearly, then weekly trend is actually down, and we're heading up to an old level of weekly support at 68.04. So that's a key area to watch for failure, to keep this pair in a downtrend long term. I know the day chart looks like it's real strong, but the high time frame trend is down, heading towards 60.04. So that's a key area. And these weekly levels are very important. Until the news came out really today, the market may was getting ready for the news yesterday. The last 2 weeks, these candles here I've been holding at this weekly level of resistance at 67.01. So 67.01, the figure. We've broken above that level of weekly resistance. We're heading towards the next one at 68.04. The figure is a very prominent number on the New Zealand dollar, so watch the 6,800 level for failure. If you're in a bought position, that would be a great level to take profits at, because it's a clear level of resistance. And to the day chart, what you'll see is when we were below 68, there's the 68.04 level. We consolidated below, and we tried in vain, fell back below. Tried again, but fell back below. Clearly, the sellers above 68 are very strong previously. So as we head towards it, we're at 67.94 at the moment, so we're not too far away. That would be a level that we'll be watching over the next 24 hours for failure. And as well, we have a fib level, 79% level at 68.13. So I would say 6,800 up to 68.13. Watch that area for failure. Could fail there, and it doesn't really change the trend. What we might see is price action fails there, then pulls back to this area of old resistance to be new support around about the 67.32 level. All right. On the 4-hour chart, we might just pull back now to, we could fail here short term, pull back to here short term, for then to, the buyers collect more orders here to move it through that area there. All right. So it's okay to be a buyer. You just need to be buying in the right area. Buying right now as you're heading towards major resistance isn't the thing to do. It's a great area to take profits, and might be a good area if you want to trade long term with the weekly trends. This would be a great area to be a seller if that is your mode of operation. So back to the weekly chart, if that is a mode of operation, so I'm going to go to the day chart, is if this is just a rally based on the weekly chart downtrend, we could fail here, and this leg down could be put in down this way. So then that leg could get copied down that way. All depends what price wants to do. It all depends over the next few weeks who is in control of the market. But don't forget, the weekly trend is down, the monthly trend is down, the daily is just correcting against the last weekly move down. Okay, so don't be fooled thinking that we have a long-term change in trend. We might be getting a long-term change in trend, but we would have to take out 68.90 up here for me to get excited about that. Okay. So watch 6,800 to 68.13 approximate level. What does price do there over the next 24 hours? Failure, of course, any pullback around about the 67.30 level. That's where I would expect some support to come in short term on any pullback that the market might do. All right, last pair New Zealand yen. This has been going up in a similar vein. I've got my weekly levels in on here. So like I was just saying on the New Zealand dollar, if we go to the day chart, this looks like it's in an uptrend quite clearly. We've got a high top now, higher bottom. But structurally on the weekly chart, it is actually down. And the level that we really faltered at as we're heading towards it, this area here, 78.64. We're trading at 78.22, so we're about 40 pips away. Have that on your chart, 78.64, because if you're in a bought position, that's a great level to take profits at, and it's a great level to think about the market failing. All right, you can see how close to the area over here the market rejected. We'll look even further left. I'm going to go to the monthly chart. There's a monthly top there. Let's put that line in across that monthly top. 78.86.2. This is how important it is to go to your monthly chart and look at these levels. 78,862. All right, now I've got it. So that monthly top there, see how we rejected once, twice, traded above for a while, came back below, rejected, got short off, then we moved above, back below, held once more. All right, so 78.86. Everything that's been up, all these tops forming through here have all been operating around that top, but I'm going to go back to this top here on the weekly chart because it's just more current, 78,644. All right, so just to recap, weekly trend is down. Of course, we're bouncing here on some old weekly support too, but structurally, we've got lower tops and bottoms. Until we take out that high up here, the weekly trend is still down. Of course, it looks strong, and we might have two more days of the same strength and we go straight through that area. But I think if you wanted to be a buyer, when you saw some support coming down here at 75.95, approximate 76 level, that was the area to start to think about being a buyer. Up here, thinking about taking profits. All right, so what I also noticed now is the 79% level, 78.37. It's a little bit short of 78.64, but that would be an area that I would start to monitor for failure. If I was in a bought position, that would be an area, if I saw weakness, I'd be taking profits. And if I was looking for an opportunity to get myself positionally in for a long-term move, maybe back down in line with the weekly trend, this is the area to look, okay? And I'm just pausing because somebody's put something in the chat. I'm not sure how long that went in ago. Edwin, you're asking me, how do you use the US dollar CAD moving? I was looking at 127.89 weekly resistance, but price is currently moving downwards towards support. Okay, dollar CAD. I'll have a look at that in a moment when I just finish my commentary here. So this is where, you know, if I was wanting to take a position trade, if I thought my perspective of the New Zealand yen was going to keep its weekly trend structure to down for the long term, for the next few months, this is the area where I would be looking for an opportunity to position myself for that move at the 79% retracement level at weekly resistance, where we've been moved above, fell back below, it got capped here, rejected here. If this rejects here, I'd be looking then for an opportunity to trade down from that level. All right. And again, like I was just showing you on the New Zealand dollar, if that weekly structure remains in play, which is to the downside, that leg down could get copied down that way over the course of time. All right. That's my view on the New Zealand yen and the levels that I'm watching. Then I'm getting a question about the dollar Canadian. So we'll just have a look at that last pair for review before we conclude this evening. All right, so we've been having a nice move down intraday. So let's go to the monthly chart. I'm just putting some critical levels, 129.51. So any revisit to that level, 129.51, monthly resistance there. That's where the market's selling. Yeah, we moved down below that level and we came to monthly support over here, 120.61. And we have put in a higher bottom and a fractional higher top, but really it's just trading at resistance. So the question is, that little higher top there and a higher bottom, is that the market showing its hand that it's going to move through there long term? Just looking at Edwin's question, and Lovely was looking at 127.89 weekly resistance. All right. So you're looking at this level here, 127.96. You're looking at 127.89. So I'm guessing it's this level here that you're looking at. So on the weekly chart, the trend is actually down in terms of price moving to a lower bottom. Is the market putting in a lower top here to move down? That would be my question. The trend kind of changed to down when we went to a lower low. Let's just put in that level across those tops, 127.96. So day chart, obviously on the day chart here, we're consolidating. So at the moment, it doesn't seem to want to go through 127.96. So any revisit to that level quite clearly would be a level to watch for an opportunity to sell down from. But what I can see is, I would use that low to the left here, 126.49. Any movement down to 126.49 could be support. You can quite clearly see here, we're just moving within a range. We actually put in a slightly higher bottom there, but we haven't put in a higher top. So buyers and sellers are fighting out there, Edwin. The way, you know, depending on which way it moves, weekly trend is actually more to the down because of that lower bottom here. And I'm guessing that rally that we've had is a 62% level here that we're kind of holding at too. So maybe this is forming resistance at the 62 level to trade down. That's what it kind of looks like. But really, until we break out that range, it can just stay in a range. All right, that's the thing about support and resistance is sometimes it's trending, but 60% of the time it's in some form of a range. And at the moment, the most recent range that we're in is this one right here. So trade the range at the moment would be the mode of operation. If it holds at 26.49, which is pretty much 26.50, and it holds there on a lower time frame, like a 15-minute chart, 1 hour chart, it's probably going to head back up. To trade the break, if your downside is the look that you're looking for, let it break clearly through there. 126.49 should become resistance, and then you look in that area maybe on a lower time frame for failure for a further move down. All right, like so. So time will tell. Right now, if I wanted to trade that pair today, it's right in the middle of the range. I don't like to trade right in the middle of the range. I like to execute close to support or at resistance. So your two critical levels are at 127.96 daily resistance, support 126.49. All right, hopefully that's helpful to you. Okay, everybody, I'm just going to hang around for a couple of minutes. If you've got any questions on any other pairs or any pairs that I've been talking about tonight, very much the focus of the market at the moment is the Ukraine news. And, you know, things were very negative in Asia yesterday. If we take the Euro Yen, for example. On my 4-hour chart here, we were down here yesterday in early Asia trading. I moved to a 50-minute chart yesterday, early in the day. Very negative on Monday into Tuesday. I'm sure plenty of traders thought we were just going to keep going down to daily support or even to weekly support. Then we corrected back up. Okay. And we are seeing some buoyancy at the moment. Just going to move to a 4-hour chart. Now, there's a possibility that that is a lower top forming there. I was looking at the wider range in case we do move higher up over the next 24, 48 hours to give you some levels. But there is a possibility on this Euro Yen, because yesterday, until we put that top in, we were just trading up with inside that range. So there is the possibility that we've already failed here. We've come down. I know we're a fraction above that 79 level at the moment, but back to the 15. There is the possibility that we can't take out yesterday's high. Just putting it in there. Or we only just go through it by a pip or two and we hold and we move back below the 79. So if we do fail up at yesterday's high and then move back below the 79, to me, that's negative. All right. So the point I wanted to make is With the Ukraine news, we can be very negative in 124 hours and then very positive in the next 24, just because the flavor of the news changes. So we're negative Monday. Tuesday, we've been positive. At the moment, we're trading up close to the highs of the high there of the euro yen of yesterday, but we might not quite take that out and then turn around. All right, and just for one last one, the dollar CAD, somebody's asking for the dollar CAD, so let's take this as the last one to have a look at. Not one that sorry, you want the Aussie CAD, not one that I normally chart. So let me just set it up. All right, so let me have a look at the trend. The monthly trend is down, but we're coming up to an area of resistance. Coming up to 92.47, British fraction underneath that at the moment. So that's major resistance, obviously. Weekly, I'm seeing lower tops here. You know, it's very much down, rally, down, rally, down, rally, down is this rally. So the key line for the market here is a resistance is at 92.47. The question would be, we're at 92.34, so not too far away. Are we going to move above there? Or are we going to see another lower top like we've been seeing to move back down again? Like on some of those other pairs I've been showing you, like the New Zealand dollar, New Zealand yen, Aussie dollar, which are having rallies against their overall weekly structure downtrends, okay? So today, that's just going to show an uptrend. But the critical level to watch is that line there, 92.47. What does price do there? Okay. The next critical level, if we can move through that level, would be, you've got a series of weekly tops here. It's very dangerous to be a buyer into a series of weekly tops. But that being said, you just need to be aware of what's coming ahead of you. Plenty of tops ahead, 93.02, 93.36, 93.76, 94.18. Lots of resistance there for the market. The market needs to break beyond those levels. So it keeps moving up as I'm talking, 92.35 now. So if we do break above that level, the next level to watch is 93.02. So of course, it would be great to be a buyer lower down. And then if you're way ahead in profit, you could just be asking yourself, well, is this just going to scream up and through those weekly tops? If you're not a buyer, if you haven't bought, it's dangerous to buy into resistance. So depends how you've already positioned yourself, or you might not be positioned yet and you're looking for an opportunity to position yourself. So structurally weekly, it is in a downtrend at the moment. That could change though very quickly if we break above 93.02. All right, Mudgy, hopefully that helps you. All right, everybody, thanks very much for attending this evening. If you're on YouTube watching, thanks very much for following. If you'd like to attend the webinars rather than just follow on YouTube, then EURJPY, thanks very much. If you just go to our website, which I'll bring up the website page, you're more than welcome to come to the live market analysis every Wednesday. Just come to acy.com, EN Education Webinars, just register. So every Wednesday I do a live market analysis at 8 p.m. Sydney time. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm doing an educational webinar. Tomorrow's webinar is trade setups using a limit order at a support or resistance zone. So that will be the topic tomorrow. And on Monday, I'm going through risk and trade management. Not Monday, sorry, Tuesday, the 1st of March. And if you come to this page, you'll be able to see the current 6 webinars that are available to register for, okay? So if you want to avail yourself of those webinars, make yourself welcome. So thanks very much for attending this evening. Hopefully you got value from that. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow. Our YouTube channel, if you want to look at the URL up at the top, go to YouTube, ACY Securities Australia, and you can see it live streaming there at the moment, but it will be on If you go to the video page or the home page, it'll be one of the first videos on there that you can review. Okay, great. All right, everybody, thanks very much for attending. Stay safe. Have a great evening. Look forward to seeing you next time.